Welcome to another episode of Car Ride Conversations with Chronically Rye, featuring me. I'm Rye, and again, we're very obviously not in my car. I live from my apartment. I just got off work an hour or so ago, and I'm killing time before a speaking engagement. So I thought I'd come on here because I thought of something last night that I hadn't really spoken about a lot on this platform yet, but I'd like to pause because we need to appreciate my outfit real quick. Can we just, all right, Cherokee, shout out to the Yoda one I want scrub top. Okay, all right, okay. This is a shout out to my mom who says that I don't know how to match clothes. Okay, all right. Yes. Shout out to Buffalo Exchange in Richmond several years ago for these babies and the rubies. We got the pink and the black and the pink and the black and the green and the pink and the black, and I patients loved it. Anyway, okay, quick aside. Back to the point. So a little bit about how I make content, how I come up with content. So I have a notebook. This is the notebook. If you've known me for a long time, you know that since I was a freshman in high school, I've always had like a little moleskin notebook that I've carried with me. There have been like 10, 12 by now, to write down funny things people say, quotes I want to remember, song lyrics, basically anything that I don't want to forget, which, because of the amount of head injuries that I've had, basically if I don't write it down, I'm not going to remember ever. So the second that something inspires me, it's going in the book, or it's going in the notes section of my phone to go in my book later. And so last night, between patients, I was like, I should talk about the easy parts versus the hard parts of being one of the first nurses on wheels / the first nurse on wheels hired at my hospital. So this is the book, and that's the easy side. That's the hard side. But that is neither here nor there, because I'm probably going to use that for a future post as the list format. But I wanted to zoom in and focus on a couple things that I thought of while I was writing. Y'all know I love to write. And so I, just started word vomiting things that were difficult in my journey. And so specifically, we're going to be talking about today one of the difficulties that comes with being the first at something. So in my journey, y'all have seen, so before I got my job at bedside, while I was doing some public speaking things and my story started circulating, people would constantly be like, oh my gosh, she is so inspiring. This is incredible. Like, she's trying to get back to bedside. She's this nurse. She's in a wheelchair. Oh my gosh, this is great. Yeah, but I couldn't get a job. And that's because everyone who read my story would be like, oh my gosh, yes, I love this. I love her energy. I love her spirit. Someone is going to give her a job. Someone out there. But probably not me, because that involves like a lot of I'm going to have to circumvent a bunch of red tape, or we're going to have to change a bunch of rules, and there's a bunch of little things that we don't really know how the hell that's going to work. So, and it's never been done before. So, yeah, somebody out there will give her a chance, obviously. Thank God somebody did, okay? Somebody did give me that chance. Awesome. I work bedside now. That's great. The thing about being the first at something is that nobody really knows what to expect, right? And so I wrote down something that I think is kind of interesting. And specifically, one of the hardest parts about being a nurse on wheels and one of the first nurses in a wheelchair at my hospital, one of the only nurse in a wheelchair at my hospital, but one of the first nurses in a wheelchair at bedside. Yeah, y'all get it. I get so many people who come out of the woodwork who are like, I have a disability and I really, your stories inspired me and I want to become a nurse. And I want to be very transparent with that and the difficulties that come with that. Because it's not like when I was a brand new nurse. Being a brand new nurse, we have orientation processes, we have preceptorships, we have all kinds of things that are set up to support you as a brand new nurse, and other healthcare professionals have similar things, but I can only speak to what I know, which is nursing. And we have these things, these platforms, these meetings, these things that are set up to support new nurses, people who are new to the field, to succeed. Yeah, there's nothing, as far as right now, there was nothing set up to support me as a brand new nurse in a wheelchair, as a nurse in a wheelchair who was not brand new. And they basically we're gonna hire you and we're gonna figure it out. The thing about being the first at something is a lot of people are they don't know how to help you. Especially, so in my specific situation, they didn't really know how much help I was going to need. Was I going to be a burden on my unit? One of my favorite stories is one of the first nurses that I worked with while I was training on my unit. She didn't tell me till the end of our first day together, but she told me that she was so afraid of working with me because she was terrified that I was going to be a burden, that I was going to cause her to have to work harder, that she was going to have to help me get everything off top shelves, that she was going to have to open all the doors for me, that she was going to have to help me lift the babies, push the bassinets, you name it, she was going to have to be there to assist me. Why is this? Well, she told me she'd never interacted with somebody in a wheelchair on close terms and not as their nurse. And 2, she obviously never seen a nurse in a wheelchair before, so what she's supposed to expect. By the end of it, she goes, you know what? I was really afraid, and now I know you're literally just a nurse. You just get around a lot faster and you have wheels under your ass. Still a nurse. I love that. Because after that, it was kind of all right, she's just another nurse. Every single day I come to work, I work at a level 1 trauma center, a very large hospital. I interact with somebody for the first time. When that occurs, so far anyway, I am the first nurse in a wheelchair they have ever interacted with. So something I wrote down that I think is interesting, that I think I constantly have to remind myself of. And if you are, this applies to so many different situations. If you're trying to be the first person with a disability to do something, if you're trying to be the first whatever to do something, but specifically trying to work in healthcare as somebody with a disability. Your coworkers don't get it, okay? They're used to viewing and relating disability to their patients, bedbound, helpless, and certainly not holding down a full-time career as a healthcare professional. You're more than likely going to be the first healthcare worker with an obvious visible disability that they've worked with. You are constantly setting a new standard to which they'll think about disability. Remember that. Every single shift that I work, I meet somebody and they're like, oh my gosh, you're incredible. This is amazing. This is the coolest thing. I've never seen this before. This is the first time. A lot of times it's the first time that they're interacting with somebody who is not a patient in the hospital with a disability, up close and personal, who is an open book and tells them straight up, ask any questions that you'd like, go right ahead. I am setting a standard to which that person is going to compare every single time they see somebody in a wheelchair, every single time they see somebody with a disability, every single time they see a crazy woman with half her head shaved and rainbow spokes. I am setting a precedent. And as someone with a very smart-ass mouth and who likes to drop F-bombs every other word, I have to constantly remind myself that I am representing an entire community, whether I want to admit that or not. In my hospital, every day I show up to work, I am the first person in a wheelchair to work in a nursing role in my hospital. I am recognized everywhere I go. I am constantly having to explain my disability to patients, to physicians to other people in the hospital, and that's okay with me. I knew this was going to happen. I was prepared from the beginning, and y'all know me, I'm a total open book, and so I was ready for this. I was ready to be the first, and I knew it wasn't going to be easy, and it has not been. Nobody knew what my needs would need to be, what my accessibility needs were going to be, what accommodations I was going to need. Every day is a new adventure. Every day I find something else that I'm like, well, fuck, I can't do it that way. I'm gonna have to find a new way to do that. Cool, all right. But I have to be so cognizant of the fact that I am representing our entire community, and that the way that I work and the way that I carry myself and the way that my career goes from here on out is going to be opening a door for other nurses and other healthcare professionals with disabilities to follow in my wheel tracks. And that's a lot sometimes, like a whole lot to put on somebody. That's okay. That's why I'm here. And I'm glad to do it. I'm glad to answer the same questions over and 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 over. I'm glad to educate and to show that people with disability are not all one and the same. We're not all one size fits all. We are all completely unique and individual human beings. And I happen to be one who loves my career as a nurse, and I'm not going to let my disability stop me from doing that. I'm not going to let red tape, and I'm not going to let the phrase, "that's not how we've always done things," stop me from achieving my goals and continuing to achieve my dreams and continuing to take care of my patients and fulfill my dream career as a nurse. You know, that career and those dreams have obviously shifted and changed over time and will continue to, and that's the beauty of life. Yes, I know I should not record videos when I've been up this many hours and have had this much caffeine, but I don't care, because somewhere in there I know there's going to be a jewel of wisdom or something that someone is going to take away from this, because otherwise y'all would not still be following and y'all would not still be watching these videos. But that is the thing that I have to tell myself. Last night was a fucking it wasn't a nightmare of a shift, but it went great, let me tell you. And I was just frustrated and just venting to my coworkers, and I was like, y'all, I don't know if I can do this. If I roll into the room and the greeting that I get instead of "hello, how are you" is what's with the chair, one more fucking time, I think I may roll over all of my patients' toes. But then I remember, one, my patients are in a very vulnerable situation. They're in a hospital. They're not at their best. They don't know what they're saying or how it can come across. And two, I am a very approachable person. And if I don't, who will? If I don't educate, if I don't show that we're capable and that we can do this, then there won't be a second, a third, a fourth wheelchair nurse hired at my hospital. There won't be a new precedent where maybe, eventually it won't be so crazy to see somebody with a physical disability working in healthcare. It won't be insane at all if your doctor rolls in a wheelchair with a cane, a walker, whatever it may take. It'll just be par for the course. And if I have to deal with a little rough road in order to get there, and some rough nights, and constantly explain myself over and over and over and over and over and over and over for that to happen, then so be it. That's what comes with being the first. If y'all have any specific questions about the ins and outs of what I do for a living, how I do it, how I manage the stress of having a lot of weight on my shoulders, and what it feels like to be the first, let me know. Drop them below. Send me a message. I love hearing from you guys. Until then, sayonara. I gotta prepare for this speaking engagement, and I'll catch y'all later.